Now, I don't know who still calls Jamaica homophobic. I don't know. Because have you seen the latest Jamaican carnival? The carnival that recently happened in Jamaica. Chance the Rapper was there getting all out of control. He was just whining down and having fun because that is what we do in carnival time. That is my Trini accent. But in a Jamaican accent, I would have said Chance was just whining down and having fun, right? A girl a back it up on him and he was enjoying himself. People are making a big deal about it because, he's a celebrity that's a married man and is well known to be a married man. I'm just trying to tell them that, hey, this is a cultural thing, right? In Carnival, you find something to get behind that you like and you whine with it. That is it, right? But on the flip side, though, this ain't about Chance. This is about how open people were out in the open. Like, some of the comments I saw said, Ross, Jamaica just turned one big aquarium. Be a fish in there. And I laughed. And then there were others that said, no, Jamaica is not surrounded by the Caribbean Sea. Jamaica is the Caribbean Sea because I be a fish in there. These were comments that were made by people who were observing what I was observing. To see men dressed as women that were out dancing, whining, carrying on. Matter of fact, they were the loudest in their section of the crowd. There was a tree that was there, and I think the tree was being assaulted because the man them run and jump on the tree limb and skin out and turn upside down and whine like some dancehall woman queen and all these kind of things. And I'm watching it with amazement because I'm saying to myself that having been raised in Jamaica, yeah, I left Jamaica a long time, but I've never left Jamaica per se. So having been raised in Jamaica from a youth to the age that I am now as a grown man, things have certainly changed, right? That's why I started this video off by saying I don't know who still calls Jamaica homophobic as a whole, because things have changed. Like, not things have changed a little bit, things have changed significantly. To see men parading down the streets dressed as women, acting as women, and very effeminate and carrying on, loud and boisterous, even louder than everybody else around. They weren't trying to hide because they were scared somebody might do something to them. They were out there in the open. All right. With that said, the murder of Dwayne Jones. 2013 to 2023. We're roughly looking at a decade, okay? And I'm trying to tell you that things really have changed. Dwayne Jones is somebody who probably pioneered that type of a movement on the island. Now, this is a video that's probably going to be heard by a lot of Jamaican people and Caribbean people, so I expect some kind of adversary comments in the comment section, but I'm asking everybody to please keep it clean. I don't run one of those platforms. This is my disclaimer. My platform is open to everybody, and I am not against anybody. I'm the kind of person that believes that earth is here to be shared by all, and I'm not the almighty God. So I live and I let live, right? Plus, I'm not that concerned anyways about other people's personal life. But I do think that Dwayne Jones' story is pretty interesting looking back a decade and seeing where we are now. So without further ado, let's get into the Dwayne Jones story. All this information was put on Wikipedia, the murder of Dwayne Jones. And this is where I'm getting my information from. Okay, so Dwayne Jones was a Jamaican 16-year-old boy who was killed by a violent mob in Montego Bay in 2013 after he attended a dance party dressed in women's clothing. The incident attracted national and international media attention, and it brought increased scrutiny to the status of LGBTQ rights on the island of Jamaica. It also bolstered the stereotype that Jamaica is a drastically homophobic country. Dwayne was always perceived as effeminate. He was bullied in school a lot. And at the age of 14, he was forced out of his family home by his own father. So he moved into a derelict house in Montego Bay with other transgender friends. I could only imagine. Now, on the evening of July 21, 2023, they went to the Irwin area of the city and they attended a dance party, according to this report. Now, when some men at the party discovered that those weren't men, I saw man them the dog. Them, yo, brother, may I tell you, say a man them. If you know, you know. Okay? You can imagine your brethren there saying, yo, that gal then nice, you know. Yeah, slim body and everything. And then somebody else shouting out, brother, I don't know gal that is a man. I could only imagine. People get very upset about stuff like this. Anyhow, they confronted them when they suspected that they weren't women, and then they attacked them. Dwayne Jones, according to the report, he was beaten, then he was stabbed multiple times, then he was shot, then he was ran over with a car. I mean, damn, overkill. So he had ended up passing away in the early hours of that morning. The police investigated the murder, but they did not arrest or charge anyone for the crime. His death, to this day, remains unsolved. Now, the event made newspaper headlines in Jamaica, and it was also the subject of reporting in both the United Kingdom and in the United States of America and Canada as well. Hear this. A lot of people are saying, because of the climate of how Jamaica is when it comes to people on the LGBTQ spectrum or from that community, investigating police officers gave very little effort in Jamaica to trying to find out what happened, who did it. Now, mind you, this happened in front of people. Lots of people. Lots of people saw. Yet still, it remains unsolved. Now, the event made newspaper both locally and internationally. And while voices on social media accused Dwayne Jones of provoking his killers by cross-dressing in public, the murder was condemned by Jamaican educators and the country's justice minister. He was accused of provoking his killers by cross-dressing in public. I know this comment section, people are going to say, how is he provoking his killers by cross-dressing in public? And then there are going to be those ignorant comments, yo, people like them, they're for dead, and all that, right? End of the day, to accuse him of cross-dressing and provoking his killers is crazy, right? And I'm no LGBTQ advocate. I'm just saying that it's crazy. And I say it's crazy because I see those same people, or some of those kinds of people, they live in foreign places now where people who dress like this, like Dwayne was dressing, a man dressing as a woman, they move around these people today. And they don't say anything to them. And they don't do anything to them. Right? Anyhow, in the wake of the attack, both domestic and international organizations devoted to LGBTQ rights and human rights, among them were the Human Rights Watch, Jamaica for Justice, or the J-Flag, and then there was the Jamaica Forum for Lesbians, All Sexuals, and Gays, or J-Flag, and then there were other entities who asked the Jamaican authorities for a proper investigation and for legal recognition of the LGBTQ community members' rights on the island. So basically, his death kind of like spearheaded the push for the LGBTQ community in Jamaica on the island to start to fight for their rights to be recognized on the island. Like, if we're violated in public, no one has the right to say, oh, we were provoking anybody, because we should have the right to dress as we please, even if we're a man dressed as a woman. So they started fighting for those rights, right? And fighting, and I'll tell you what, if you look a decade later, because Dwayne's incident happened in 2013, we're in 2023. So if you look a decade later, they have gained significant amount of rights. Again, did you see the carnival for Jamaica for 2023? Now here's a bit of Jones's biography. Jones was said to be raised in an impoverished slum in Montego Bay, a city in northwest Jamaica. Jones, he faced bullying at high school from students who always perceived him as effeminate. You know, move on, go back to boy. Yo, that youth a punk, you know. You know, sister, the man going like girl, dog. Now, when Jones was 14, his father told him to get the hell up out of my house. So he was kicked out of the family's home and encouraged his dad, according to this story, would actually encourage the neighbors and people in the community to chase him out of the neighborhood. Yo, on a run the batty boy from round ya. His own dad. Now, after a period of sleeping in bushes and running and sleeping on the beaches and wherever else he could find to sleep, he began squatting in what they call a derelict house in the hills above Montego Bay with two other transgender friends. Those two friends were Kiki and Chloe. That was their name. They were both also 23 years old at the time of Dwayne Jones's death. Now, mind you, remember how old he was, right? He was 16. Now, Jones was known among friends as Gully Queen. So now y'all know where that comes from, right? Gully Queen eventually ended up being the name that was given to a group of the same type of people who were living in Kingston somewhere in a corporate area under a bridge area. And they started calling them the Gully Queens. But Dwayne was known as the Gully Queen from way back then. That was a reference to the storm drainage system in which many homeless LGBTQ Jamaicans live. Some of them live under the roads, right? And I've seen videos, one documentary in particular where a brother from the UK flew down to Jamaica and did it. And I was just amazed and surprised that people would actually choose to live like that. You know, and they were saying that they had no choice, but this is where was safe for them. Anyhow, Dwayne also wanted to become a performer like the American pop star Lady Gaga. It is said that that was his idol, right? And he had won some local dancing competitions. Chloe, one of his friends that lived with him, described him as a diva who was always very feisty and just always jovial and joking around. In 2006, Time magazine said that Jamaica may be the most homophobic country in the world. This is 2006. The country's laws criminalizing same-sex activity between males, the boogery laws, those were introduced in 1864 during the British colonial administration. Now, according to the Sexual Offense Act of 2009, it actually says that any man who is convicted under these laws must register as a sex offender. These laws have been cited as contributing to the wider homophobic attitude among the Jamaican people. That is what this article says. As a Jamaican, I can also tell you that the Bible is very much also a part of that. Because in the Bible, it says a man that layeth with another man the same way a man lays with a woman should be put to death. And I actually think that it's the only offense in the Bible. Correct me if I'm wrong, all the Bible thumpers out there. I think that is the only offense in the Bible that actually calls for death. Right? So I want you to think about that. Now, here's the thing. It's funny that the Bible was given to the people, and now when they try to exercise the Bible, even though none of them live by everything, all of the 10 commandments and whatnot, they choose what they want to live by, choose what they want to break, and choose who they want to chastise for breaking which one, which brings about nothing but confusion. But if they were to say, well, this is where we get this from, the Bible, and we're standing by the Bible because the Lord said, then you have to understand that it was through religious indoctrination as well. Because a lot of them don't even know about these laws that are on the books. They know about religious indoctrination. Nobody wants to go to hell. So including the view that gay people are criminals regardless of whether or not they have committed any crime at all, anti-LGBT perspectives have been furthered by the island's conservative Christian churches. Yes. Many reggae and dancehall songs, among them, of course, the famous Boom Bye Bye and a Body Boy Head, which was one of Buju Banton's biggest songs, actually calls for the killing of gays. Now, I don't want to throw Buju under the bus just to read this. I'm just going to say that Buju hasn't performed that song in many years, and he has also said in the past that had he known what he knows now, because that song was from, he was like a young 19-year-old. So had he known what he knows now as a grown man, he would never have written that song, or he would never have sang that song in the first place, right? Whether that means that he understands differently or whatever, and he faced a lot of backlash across the world for it. Now, writing for the International Business Times in the summer of 2013, the journalist called Palash Ghosh noted that while Jamaica was awash in crimes and violence, gays and lesbians are particularly prominent targets of wanton brutality. In mid-2000s, two of Jamaica's best-known LGBTQ rights activists, Brian Williamson and Lenford Harvey, were murdered. In the summer of 2013, Human Rights Watch carried out 5 weeks of field work being on the ground in Jamaica among Jamaica's LGBTQ community, reporting back that over half of those interviewed had experienced violence as a result of their sexual orientation or their gender identity, sometimes on multiple occasions. That means that some of them, most of them, more than half of them already get beat up, cut up, had to run for their lives, been threatened with murder for who they were identifying to be. Now, on the evening of the 21st of July 2013, when Jones was 16 years old, he dressed in female clothing and he attended a dance party with Kiki and Chloe. And that party was called Hennessy Sundays. Hennessy Sundays was held at a bar in the Irwin area. So they arrived by taxi, right? And then they had a party around 2 a.m. Jones passed as a girl at the party, and several males who were at the party end up dance with him. Back then, daggering was the thing. So put Jones pan a backers, wine him down, all that. And they were closely, intimately dancing with him. This is where the story gets weird. And this is where a lot of people were saying he was out of pocket. He was out of place for doing this because he knows that a man dressed as a woman, and I heard that when he dressed up and he did his makeup and stuff, especially at nighttime, he was very much passable. And he was almost always looked at as a woman or a female. So he was that passable. You know, sometimes you have some people that got some tough foot and some, some man with a whole big beard trying to put on a wig and put on tight dress and thing and stuff up the chest and kind of look like a woman until he turn around. You could tell it's a man. But in Dwayne's case, it is said that it was impossible to tell. So the reports are that they were at this party, 2 a.m. party bus. Multiple guys, it said several guys danced with him. And he was just dancing and enjoying it too. Now, it is said that although he initially kept his biological sex a secret from other people at the party, fearing some homophobic prosecution, he revealed his identity to a girl at the party whom he had previously been to church with. The girl said, blouse and skirt. Dwayne, are you this? Well, the girl not only was surprised and said, blouse and skirt, Dwayne, are you this? No, man, you come out strong, goody. You come out dressed like girl. I'm there, things say a girl, I couldn't even recognize you. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. But what the girl ended up doing was she also informed the guys who she was with that, yo, me know him, you know. It's a man. Yes, it's a boy. Him name Dwayne. So when she did that, they lay waited outside the venue for Dwayne, demanding to know. So they circled him, back him up, and I say, yo, dog, you a man or you a woman? We want to know now. Because man in here dance up and wind up on you. You in here fling it back like you're a woman. But a woman just tell we say you is a man. So are you a man or a woman? One of the men used a lantern to examine Dwayne's feet. And then the brother say, yo, the brother have some big foot, dog. Them foot are too big to be a woman. In other words, his feet were too big to be those of a woman. Now, discovering his sex, they started calling him loud, Batty boy, which is the term for a homosexual male, right? His friend Chloe tried to get him to avoid the confrontation, whispering in his ear, walk with me, Dwayne, walk with me, come, Dwayne, come, walk with me. But Dwayne refused. Instead, he was insisting that he was a female. Ah, boy. So Dwayne there try tell them, say, I don't know, maybe Dwayne got afraid. And him say, yo, if me say I'm a boy, they're going to beat me to daylight anyway. So let me go and try convince them, say I'm a female. So cause he had danced with so many of them already, right? So he's now still staying there. And according to this report, because I don't want Chloe to be somewhere and be like, boy, so flow lying. According to this report, it says that Chloe tried to get him to avoid the confrontation, whispering in his ears, walk with me, Dwayne, come, trying to get him to go away, right? But he insisted, nah, I'm gonna stay here. So he stayed there trying to convince them that he was a female. When someone pulled out Dwayne's bra strap, he ran away. Someone pull out him bra strap, pop it out. Yo, he ran away. And the sad thing, the crowd pursued him. So now he is running fight or flight. And he's on flight. And the crowd starts running after him, these young men. They followed him down the road. They caught him. They beat him. They stabbed him up. They shot him. They ran over him with the car. What this was, right? This level of overkill, what this was is a group of guys, and you could see the progression of this because they would have never accosted him outside of the dance to find out, yo, turn on the light. Somebody brought a lantern out. I guess it was kind of dark out there. Somebody brought a lantern out to inspect him. Right? We want to see if you're a man or a woman. I could only imagine hearing all the expletives and all the, yo, batty boy, anyhow you turn out to be a man, you're dead round here tonight, you know. Which means if we find out that you're a man, you're not leaving from around here so alive tonight. So he started to try to double down that I'm a girl. Until someone pop off the bra strap. I don't know if they popped the bra strap and realized that it was stuffed. And they ran him down. They beat him. They shot him. They ran over him with a car. They stabbed him multiple times. It is said that after the beating and the stabbing and the shooting and the running over, he slipped in and out of consciousness for 2 hours before another attack finally killed him. Another attack. Over 2 hours, he was laying there and they came back and attacked him again. There were no reports of anyone trying to help him during this whole thing. Chloe, who was his friend, was also attacked and beaten and almost raped, but escaped by hiding first in a church and then hiding in some woods that were surrounding the church. Now imagine that. I want y'all to think about this, right? They were beating him because they found out that you're not a girl, you're a boy, you're a guy. But then they wanted to rape him in the process. Now, when I saw Dwayne's body, according to this article, Chloe's interview said, when I saw Dwayne's body, I started shaking and crying. It was horrible. The police arrived at the scene about 5 a.m., hours after. And they found the body dumped in bushes along Orange Main Road. So they launched an investigation into the homicide, inviting friends and family of the victim to contact them. And Jones's family declined to claim the body. And his father refused to talk to the press about the incident. You're talking about Jamaican culture here. You're talking about when a man has a son and a group of people will gang up to tell you that homosexuality is in your genes. That's why you had a gay son. You're probably gay yourself. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying. I know the culture. These things are things that are said, right? You make Batman picnic. So when the police reached out and said, yo, they know his family, please contact us, the family refused to contact the police. Who's going to go to the morgue and identify him as a family member, collect the body, plan a funeral? His family refused his body. On August 14th, Deputy Superintendent of Police Steve Brown announced that 14 statements had been collected and that the investigation was processing and progressing. In October of 2013, a group of men set fire to the place in which Dwayne had lived as a squatter, forcing the others who lived there, which was 4 more occupants at the time, to flee the area in what was also believed to be an anti-LGBTQ hate crime. Yep, they realized, yo, is a bag of Batman live up in another house there, no woman no up there. I'm guessing they usually see them from a distance and they thought, it's girls and men live in there, so it's probably men living there that have their girls with them, not realizing that it was the same guys who would sometimes come out dressed completely transformed, looking like a woman, the wig, the makeup, the short skirts, all that. And another time they would see men. So they didn't really pay it any mind from a distance, according to how the house was situated. But the Dwayne situation led them to finally see that these were transgendered people living in that house together. They set the house on fire. And the others had to flee. This is after Dwayne's killing. Emerald Morgan, who was an officer at the St. James Public Health Department, requested that the police provide protection for the other 4 youths who were made homeless by the arson attack. But the police declined to do so. Protect them for what? We're not protecting them. Meanwhile, a charity that was set up called Dwayne's House was set up in Dwayne Jones's memory to help homeless LGBTQ youths in Jamaica. As of May 2014, however, no one had been arrested or charged, and in August of 2015, the crime was still considered unsolved, and today in 2023, April 20th, that situation is still unsolved. No one has been arrested or charged so far. Now, man, it's a crazy situation, right? The Jamaican Minister of Justice, Senator Mark Golding took to his podium and he condemned the killing and he called for the end to depraved acts of violence in Jamaica. He added that all well-thinking Jamaicans should embrace the principle of respect for just basic human rights for all persons, and that Jamaicans should on a whole accept or express tolerance towards minority groups such as the LGBTQ community. Annie Paul, who was the publications officer at the time of the Jamaica campus of the University of the West Indies, stated that on a basis of comments provided on social media, she thought that most Jamaicans believed that Jones provoked his own murder by cross-dressing within a society that did not tolerate such a behavior. You know, say none of that can go on round ya. That would be the sentiment and how it was said. Newton D. Duncan, the University of the West Indies professor of pediatric surgery at the time, similarly noted that the overwhelming majority of Jamaicans believe that cross-dressers are homosexuals and they deserve punishment. He added that this was just a common misconception because the majority of cross-dressers were actually heterosexuals. We don't know about that, would be the reply of most Jamaicans. I can tell you that, because if you go to the average Jamaican man, I can tell you a dancehall song that says, "Bad man not dress like girl, we no bore nose and we no wear drop curl. Want some freaky boy must stop dress like girl." Yeah, shout out to the energy god Elephant Man. But I'm just saying, it is engraved in our culture and ingrained in our culture that a man cannot dress like a woman and actually be heterosexual. By the very fact of you dressing like a woman means you want to be a woman, you don't want to be a man. Therefore, you must want what a average heterosexual woman wants, which is relations with a man. Therefore, you must be gay. He also condemned the attack and compared it to the lynching of an American man at the time called Harper Lee's novel to Killing a Mockingbird, drawing links between the anti-LGBTQ violence in Jamaica and the anti-black violence in the mid-20s, in the mid-20th century United States. Now, let me tell you this, right? This is one of the worst things you can do because blackness versus gayness, this is something that actually upsets a lot of people. Because people are like, I can hide the fact that I'm gay, but I can't hide the fact that I'm black. He can hide the fact that he's gay. He doesn't have to come outside dressed in makeup on his face, lipstick, and a wig, and a dress, a tight little dress, and high heels. He can dress like a guy, and no one has to know. But I can't cover up my blackness. It's my skin, it's my hair, it's my facial features, it's me. So there's always that heated conversation that surrounds such. Now, writing in the Jamaica broadcast sheet, the Gleaner or broadsheets, Carolyn Cooper, professor of literary and cultural studies at the University of the West Indies, condemned the group who committed Jones's murder. Remember, to this day in 2023, that murder still has not been solved. Who burnt that house down still has not been caught. She blamed their behavior on the selective use of the Bible, noting that while many Jamaicans embrace those biblical passages that concern or condemn same-sex activity and cross-dressing, they are themselves typically guilty of many other biblical sins, such as adultery and murder. The Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." But there's a confusion because there's another part of the Bible that says there's a time for everything, right? And there's a time to kill, and there's a time to die, and there's a time to live. There's a time to heal, and there's a time to this, and there's a time to that. Well, she condemned that Jones had been killed just for being himself and for expressing himself. And she hoped that the killers would be caught and face legal, the full brunt of the law, which they never were caught. The following week, she published a follow-up article in which she responded to several emails that she had received that claimed that the real victims of that scenario were actually the young men who Jones deceived when he was dancing with them, taking all this wine up and all this grab up around the waist and knowing that he was not a female. So she reiterated her condemnation of Jones's killers, and she said that rather than retaliating violently, they should have just brushed it off with a humorous comment instead. Now, I've seen this happen at, I believe it was Trinidad Carnival. There was a guy that was dressed as a girl in some little tight cut off jean shorts, whole body out the door and everything, winding up like crazy. Right? And upon first view, you would think that was a girl. So it's Trinidad, it's carnival, just like Jamaica, it's carnival, just like I explained at the beginning of this video. Don't hold it too much against Chance the Rapper, because it's actually a cultural thing. This is what we do at carnival, especially when that soca start playing. Man and woman start whining down, and whoever is in front of you, you just want to know, say it look like a woman if you is a man and you're whining, right? Well, that's what happened at Trinidad Carnival. It's all over the internet. And it was about 2, 3, 4 men that actually gave that person a good whine down before the one person was seen trying to tell everybody else, don't dance with it, don't dance with that, that's a man, that's a man. And everybody just started backing away from it, or from her, or from him, or from that person. Everybody started backing away, and then once they backed away, they looked, and they said, oh, damn, and they left. They didn't kill the person, they just left. But that's in Trinidad, right? That wasn't in Jamaica. Now, Javion Nelson, an HIV and AIDS campaigner and human rights advocate, also published an article on the subject in The Gleaner, and he noted that his initial reaction was to question why Jones had gone to the dance party and why he was not satisfied in attending Jamaica's underground gay parties instead, where he probably would have been safe. Now, I've seen some videos come out of Jamaica as well, underground gay parties. They used to send them all the time. And I was wondering, like, where in Jamaica is this? Because how? Not the Jamaica I know. But apparently, according to Javion Nelson, it's a real thing. They did have their own parties, but they were underground. So he added that he had subsequently realized that adopting his viewpoint was rooted in the culture of violence, by which a victim is blamed for what happened to them. Why I'm never just go to the underground gay party? He called on Jamaicans to be tolerant, to the LGBTQ individuals and to focus on rebuilding this great nation on the principles of inclusivity, love, equality, and respect, with no distinction whatsoever, just love for another human being. Also, in general, Sheila Velez Martinez, who is a law professor at the University of Pittsburgh, condemned the murder as alarming evidence of the high rates of homophobia in Jamaican society. So you have distinguished university professors who were speaking loudly and saying this is alarming evidence of the high rates of homophobia in Jamaican society. This is 10 years ago. Fast forward to 2023. I ask you again, did you see Jamaica's carnival this year? Now on July 25th, the Jamaica Forum for Lesbians, All Sexuals and Gays, or JFLAG, an LGBTQ rights organization, issued a public statement expressing their deep concern regarding that case and offering their condolences to Jones, his friend, and his family. They encourage local people to aid the police. Please come out, speak to the police, tell what you saw in locating the perpetrators of the attack, which they asserted was an affront to Jamaica's democracy. JFLAG's director at the time, Dane Lewis, later commented that despite an increase in homophobic violence, Jamaica society was becoming more tolerant. This is from JFLAG. Regardless of what just happened, he can see that Jamaica's society was becoming more tolerant towards the LGBTQ people. And he attributed this to the actions of individuals like Jones, who have helped improve the public visibility of LGBTQ people in Jamaican society by being brave enough to dress the way he wanted to dress and not go to the underground parties, but go to regular parties where he knew that he would be met with this type of scrutiny. Now, another LGBTQ rights organization, Quality of Citizenship Jamaica, they issued a press release calling for the government and the churches to engage with the LGBTQ organizations to establish a common ground that could be undergirded by the principle of true respect for all people that is found in the nation's national anthem. I'll tell you what, nobody wants to hear that, or nobody wanted to hear that. Now, I say this to say this. Dwayne Jones was the sacrificial lamb forerunner for what we see before us today. Now, news of Jones's murder attracted international media attention, resulting in the condemnation of the killing by human rights groups. And this is when they started coming down heavy on even Jamaican artists, because they said, listen, something must be done. We can't have these people singing this kind of music and we ourselves are attending. We ourselves are giving their entertainers who sing this kind of music with these types of lyrics. We're giving them visas to come to our country, to make money to take back to their country, to fund their lifestyles of nice cars and big houses and financial wealth and fame. So we need to start taking that away. And it is around then that they seriously clamped down on visas that were issued to certain artists, and the voice got louder towards the Jamaica dancehall reggae community. Some entertainers were even forced to apologize before they were allowed to travel again on their visas. Most visas were suspended. That is the story of a young man who dared to step out how he was feeling, identifying with who he thought he was. the murder of Dwayne Jones. Take it for what you want, but I'll leave it right here, and I look forward to seeing your comments in the comment section below. I'll catch you on the next video. I'm out. Peace.